So this is where mixing and maxing between projects can be a good strategy here. So a lot of my customers in Europe will tend to use some edition types for different workloads. So for Looker, they may use Enterprise Edition because of the BI engine features that come with that. For other projects, they might use Standard Edition because Standard Edition may give them the functionality they need. Like if your ETL jobs are very simplified and all Standard Edition features work, you can save yourself a ton of money in editions by using Standard Edition. So there's a use case for each edition type, and some may even need Enterprise Plus if they've got a high security project, for instance, like maybe a military style company or something that needs the regulations attached to that. So that's where mixing and matching comes into play, should I say? And that's where you can save the most money that way by doing that.
Some customers, I mean, a lot of customers got really lazy, for lack of a better term, on their projects, and they threw everything to a single project. They've been running that way for years, and they're now getting the wake up call, realizing that my costs are about to go double. And then they do the analysis. They run some queries we give them, or we go work through them with it, and they realize they break their workload up into 3 or 4 spots, and their costs go up 20% versus 200%. So it just depends on the company. But then we have a lot of customers that have also been really diligent over time, broken workloads up, and then at this point they're now looking at it and able to do analysis and say, well, this one is a good candidate for standard edition. This one's good for on demand and enterprise and so forth. I mean, like for instance, DBT you mentioned in Dataform, which is Google's product now. Both of those are like two of the biggest offenders, along with Looker or other BI tools for causing massive cost increases, especially on enterprise edition. So it may be something to look at if you're running ETL jobs on DBT or Dataform. Throw that into standard edition. It may take you 10 times longer to run it as long as you're not time constrained, but it'll cost you just a little bit more than it does on flat rate.
How easy or hard is it if you had everything in one project to move everything? Like, is it as easy as my brain is making it out to be, where you just create a bunch of folders and it's like dragging files from one folder to another? Or are there dependencies to think of? How much of a headache is this where for the customers, let's say, that are listening to this and don't and have everything under one project together?
So, I mean, there will be configuration changes you need to make. Like if you're using a tool like DBT, you may need to change a bunch of your macros in DBT, like changing the project paths and things like that. But as long as, depending on how your jobs are set out, I mean, in DBT, it is a configuration change, for example. It depends on the region you're in as well and different ways. And and also your project structure as well. Like if you've got any sensitive data, perhaps, then you may need to put further settings on your project there as well to protect some sensitive data. So a lot of it's going to be around the configuration side and also just planning which jobs need to go into which area and which ones are going to be how that's going to affect your editions allocation to each one. Because as I say, you can mix and match between them. So start planning that out as well. So yeah, there's a bit of planning involved, but I mean, usually it will pay dividends, especially if you've got varying workloads across them.